Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Knowledge. Welcome to Brews and Reviews. And today I'm reviewing Pharoahe Monch's new project with his band Th1rt3en called A Magnificent Day for an Exorcism. And I am sipping on a Stone Brewing Company Buena Vesa Mexican lager coming in at 4.7% from Escondido, California. And this is kind of colorful for the theme, kind of a Day of the Dead kind of thing, but still you got the stone guy on there. It comes into the ritualistic exorcism that we're about to get on as some of the themes of this album. Let's go. Pharoahe Monch is back to bless us with some of his stellar flows. In fact, Pharoahe has one of the best flows in hip-hop history, if not the best, and I will go this far as to say Bring It On, his verse on that track from Stress, The Extinction Agenda, is the best flow in hip-hop history, period. So many different styles in one verse, and we never heard anything like it before it came out and didn't hear anything like it after. One of those verses that you just have to memorize because it's so fun to rhyme. I even be getting more graphic than a Neo Geo 32-bit computer chip is slipped between my lips and then I'll spit it out, go ahead, spit it out, that itty-bitty style you upchuck, better believe Yeah, I could go on and on. Now, Organized was a long time ago, but he continued to display that great flow and exceptional lyrics on his solo ventures. Most namely his classic solo debut, Internal Affairs, which dropped on Raucous back in 1999. And now, after his solo venture, he's come full circle back into a group, but this time, instead of a fellow wordsmith like he had with Prince Poe in Organized Konfusion, he's back with a guitarist named Marcus Machado and a drummer named Daru Jones for an extremely rock-tinged band. Maybe this will placate everybody who's been waiting on that Kendrick Lamar rock album. Pharoahe is no stranger to the rock genre at all. The sound has crept into almost all of his previous work, including Calculated Amalgamation, Stand Your Ground, Book of Judges, and even his most famous song, Simon Says, has some guitar riffs on the beat of that as they sample that Godzilla sound. So at first this seems like a huge leap for such a great hip-hop artist to be doing this rock music, but at the same time you realize that we've been hearing it for many, many years from Pharoahe. Cult 45, the title is a play on words for the terrible beer that I would never review here called Colt 45, but Colt 45 is something much, much worse than that. They're talking about the cult that surrounds the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Thank goodness he's out, and nothing was more representative of the cult-like behavior of his followers than we saw on January 6th, but that was really just the culmination of this cult that he had been building his entire time in office. This song and project were released the same week that Trump finally left office. It makes you think a little bit more about the name of the project, A Magnificent Day for an Exorcism, and really Pharoahe is probably talking about exorcising these demons or this devil that has been infecting our state for so long. Also, it makes you think more about the cover of this album. Notice that the figure has his eyes covered and is weighed down by the TV, and I think this could represent all of these media outlets that are really just echo chambers and feeding their people false information, purposely keeping them blind to the truth and putting them in this cult-like conspiracy-believing type of situation. Lyrically, Pharoahe addresses more than just Trump and really goes back to the systematic issues of capitalism and how problematic that can be. Thinking we should miss Christ, Christmas will make you a slave. Lactose intolerant at birth, never phased. By the race for chasing American cheese in a maze. In 4th grade, I played Scrabble, scrambled the letters in the name Santa, magnified and deciphered the clauses in the game. And for the beat, at first we get a strictly hip-hop instrumental. This one was produced by the great Knots. And after Pharoahe's verse, we get some guitar solos, some hard cymbal crashes, and drum rolls, setting the tone that this is going to be a loud rock album. Triskaidekaphobia is the title of the next track, and that means fear of the number 13. And while 13 is a number that Pharoahe is clearly interested in, I think given the context of this project and some of his previous work, that 13 also alludes to the 13th Amendment. So when we're saying fear of the number 13, that could be interpreted as fear of the 13th Amendment, the amendment that sets slaves free. And what is that really saying about these people out there that have the fear of 13? 13 was also the name of one of the best tracks on Stress, the Organized Konfusion album. And in that track from so long ago, he compares his rhymes to both slavery and rituals, two themes that we see through this entire project. No stranger to personifying ideas like he did on his classic track Straight Bullet. Here, he raps from the perspective of the number 13. He says, "I'm the floor in the building that you always try to skip, the row on the plane that you never want to sit. The times I almost lost the signs of my vitals in Christ's Last Supper when you include the disciples." The Magician, wailing guitars open this track up, and we're rocking out now. Lyrically, Pharoahe lets us know that he's a magician because he can make people disappear with a gun. And damn, this second verse, if you had any doubt that Pharoahe still had the breath control or the intricate rhyme schemes that he had in his youth, then this sets it all straight. And to be able to flow like this on a very non-traditional hip-hop beat, in fact, he really meshes with this sound where his syllables are hitting right on these rapid drum rolls with snares and toms just going crazy. His cadence is just matching this chaotic background. And then it even starts to sound like these bullets that he's ripping off as he fulfills what he said he was going to do on the chorus. 666, 3 6-word stories. This one samples Black Sabbath's Hand of Doom, and this is one of the smoothest Black Sabbath songs. Really, if you listen to that one and the introduction and the bass line that they have going on there, you think that an MC's about to come on and just spit some flames over it. Sadly, Ozzy doesn't bless us with bars, son, so Pharoahe has to do it for him. And among those bars, Pharoahe's throwing some stray bullets at some younger artists on this. He says, "Fuck 'em, I mute their music when they're unplugged, throwing up middle finger to the future of these young thugs." Goat's Head, we're in full-on satanic symbolism with all these titles. But to balance that out, we get some of the soulful singing that we've come to know and love from Pharoahe as well. He also displays a mastery of the English language on this as he employs the poetic device of assonance, which is really just the repetition of a vowel sound. When he spits these bars, he says, "Vomit, methodical, gospel, agnostic, apostle, pop shit and kick 2 Chinese chopsticks through your nostrils." Later on, he's got absolutely brilliant wordplay when he says, "Sleep with the paradigms that don't mind their time split." Dissect that. Scarecrow, and you didn't know that we got some of the greatest musicians of all time featured on this project. He's actually got a sample from the movie The Wiz, and this is a sample of Nipsey Russell as the Tin Man in that movie, and Diana Ross as Dorothy Fun fact, it's not sampled here, but the title of the track is Scarecrow. The Scarecrow in this movie was none other than Michael Jackson. We get some of that rock vibrato chant stuff with some yeah, to add to the rock feel of the album in the background of this. And we get Pharoahe on the chorus saying that he's on the yellow brick road and he's gonna be hella rich. And I think you probably know what he's talking about. And if there's any doubt, he reveals a little bit later that, yeah, he's cooking and he's on the road to riches with that brick. Fight featuring Cypress Hill, another group of rappers that is very partial to rock music. In fact, they released a double LP called Skull and Bones, where one side was rap and the other side was rock. And it should be noted as well that Be Real is in the group with Chuck D and Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine, called Prophets of Rage, that is very rap, rock, oriented. Pharoahe's talking about threats to society, and he lets us know where the real threat is, as he's very much on the subject of police brutality and police murdering black people. He says, and you better protect your neck, and I'm not talking about Wu-Tang or ISIS. They'll pick you out the crowd on some Price is Right shit. Burn a cross, water hose, dogs, and nightstick. And the second verse of this is perhaps Pharoahe's best lyrics on the entire project. He says, you heard of the murderers in Ferguson, the nerve of them. Never protected and serving them, it's worse than the Tuskegee experiments. And he's referring to there, if you don't know about it, it was the government actually injecting syphilis into black men without their knowledge and studying the results of that. And they didn't reveal it for 4 decades. Racist. This is extremely experimental with the flow and lyrics. Again, Pharoahe is rapping from the perspective of something different, although this time it's something much worse than stray bullets. He's rapping from the perspective of a racist. Some of this may be hard for certain sensitive people to hear, but when you know what he's going for with it, and he's exposing the worst parts of our society and these types of people that have felt more and more comfortable being out there publicly and letting us know all of the repulsive shit that they're thinking. Pharoahe doesn't hold back from that perspective. He does come in with the racist persona and talking about gay, Muslim, black people, Native Americans, and more. Sometimes to expose a harsh truth, you have to be a little harsh with your lyrics as well, and Pharoahe does that here. Oxygen, produced by Marco Polo, and some great singing, distorted rock vocals from Monch himself. And he really gets an interesting mix on this album, as he's brought in some really great traditionally hip-hop producers, but they've still created a total rock sound due to his bandmates playing the guitars and the drums over it, and Pharoahe with some of the vocals himself. Kill 'Em All Again, there's also a great guitar riff on this and some good lyrics. He says, in a ceremonial cell like it's the gram, it's your scripture. The reason why you fail to see the bigger picture. Inauthentic, addicted to internet affirmation. Quintessential assholes mentally masturbating. Here he talks about some of those social media echo chambers like I was mentioning before, and how people just drown in their own bullshit and become blinded to everything else. The Exorcist, and this almost feels like the title track. There are some rock vocals. It sounds like someone else is singing. It doesn't really sound like Pharoahe to me. Maybe it is. Either way, they sing What a Magnificent Day to Exercise. And Pharoahe is spitting all the sinister tropes on this. He mentions 666 to a goblet and handful of snakes to biblical scriptures twisted backwards. He's on some crazy rituals, but the rituals are just to exercise the nepotism and corruption of the current state. Amnesia, and I love this right after the previous track because at the end of that song, we get some wailing guitar solos and just some really loud crescendo at the end. And then it cuts to this, which is smooth and very R&B flavored. The juxtaposition of the two tracks intensifies the mood of both. Lyrically, this is a story of someone dealing with their mind deteriorating, partially due to aging, and Pharoahe says, "So if sleep is the cousin of death, then naturally naps are the nephews of narcolepsy, which will inevitably destroy your agility when being sedentary becomes the son of senility." His lyrics, even describing somebody losing their mind, are just so beautiful the way they come together. And a really smooth guitar plays us out of this one. It reminds me of some Gary Clark Jr. type of stuff. Kill, kill, kill. For the last track, we get some chaos with a hyper bass line and a looped chant and lyrics about the end of days and losing your mind all adds to the chaos. More sounds, even an organ, seep into the instrumental, all leading us to a crescendo and a midpoint break where it smooths out and we get some softer synths and some softer singing from guest Smithsonian. And this is really one of the most intricate tracks musically. After my very first listen of this, I have to confess, I thought I would have rather had a traditional rap album from Pharoahe. But then after my second listen and after I really focused on it, I thought, why? This is something new and interesting and innovative while still containing all of the elements that we love about Pharoahe Monch. He's got the crazy flow, the clever wordplay, the thoughtful lyrics with all his soul poured into all of it. And the themes on this project are on point and timely, and telling it through this louder genre was really the best way to express all of the chaos and problems in our current world. We can only hope that Kendrick's rock-influenced album will be this good. I give this a 9 out of a 12 pack. Thank you for watching my review of Th1rt3en's A Magnificent Day for an Exorcism. If you liked this, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit like, and hit me up in the comments. If you didn't like it, you can also hit me up in the comments, let me know why. I drop hip-hop and hops related content consistently, so until I see you next time, keep buzzing.